my identity in real estate has always been building relationships, which I know is cliche to say, but doing that via parties. Like since day one, I built my business on parties. Like we would have a Christmas party over at West Broad Village at whatever Keegan's had evolved to each year when they sold and went to another restaurant. But it was always breaking bread with people. It was always kind of with a give first mentality, but I always followed that up with an ask. It's hard to ask if you feel like you haven't really given anything, especially if you're not a taker. But once you set the table, I think one thing realtors could maybe do a little bit better is that ask. Hosting client appreciation events, though, in my opinion, it brings the ask to you. Many times people will come to your events, whether it's small batch or something for your whole database, and 2 or 3 people will come with stories, they'll come with ideas, and they'll want to talk to you about them. I typically try to get them to bag those conversations to set a subsequent appointment after that so I can actually enjoy the party that I planned. But keep in mind that client appreciation events are a perfect opportunity to bring opportunities to you versus us dialing for dollars every day, doing lead gen blocks and stuff like that. I'm going to try to first give you a little bit of why behind it, and then thanks to Lavender, I've got this really cool retro presentation from like my heyday that I'll kind of go over with you. And I want to try to make this make sense for you, so we've even priced some stuff out. After the class today, we'll send this out to Hometown Realty, so you'll actually have the numbers on paper should you choose to do any of these events. But today, truly, you can say you went to a class where you learned everything you needed to plan and implement an event. You knew what it would cost before you went into it, and you knew how to get some extra money if that's what you ended up having to get. But the first concept I want to talk to you about, and write this down or write it in your phone, do something, but there's 3 C's in real estate. The first is to create. Our number 1 job is to create. Create deals, create opportunities, create conversations, create relationships. Our number 1 job is to create. Our number 2 job, very shortly after number 1, is to cultivate, right? You've created something, that's the hard part. Now, what are you doing with it, right? Good examples of this are, buyers kind of get a little sticker shock. They can't seem to get the splinters out of the rears. They stay on the fence, right? It's our job to cultivate those opportunities to the final C, which is closings, right? Create, cultivate, and close. In its simplest form, that's our job as realtors. But how we do it, I think, is the freedom that we were given. And like I said before, I kind of did that through client appreciation events. But I want to give you a couple of stats to kind of affirm why we're doing this today. Some of this is from Buffini's bold predictions. If you've already heard it, I apologize. If you haven't, it should come in handy. Right now, what's happening out there is 1 out of every 4 agents is not sure if they're going to be a real estate agent in 2 years. Now, the specific term there is full-time real estate agent. In my opinion, there's no such thing as a part-time real estate agent because people bother me 24 hours a day, and I couldn't turn it off if I wanted to, right? So it seems hard to go part-time. But we've also got a more relaxed rate environment than the last 2 years. It may feel like rates are still high, but again, if you track history, which we like to do in certain situations, you'll realize that a year and a half to 2 years ago, rates were higher than they are right now. They continue to rise. Now they're stabilizing, and that's probably the environment that we're going to be in for a while. So I think what it's created is, it's created an opportunity where we know people are leaving our industry. Year over year, right? Logan put it in the email, the estimate is around 1 million realtors left year over year. Nationwide, details and all that stuff, but we're talking 1 million people that did something for a living that don't do it anymore, and that excites me. Because if they're not doing it anymore, that means there's market share out there for me to gain. But again, how? How do we do it? So I think growing and adding to your database right now needs to be the top priority from now until the end of the year. Like systems, schedules, blocking the time to do it, and going with blind faith all the way to the end of the year. Not for 2 weeks, not for enough time for it to work, and then stop. Literally just committing yourself for the rest of the year and hopefully utilizing some of these client appreciation events. But one thing we might not be thinking about is that there's a lot of people out there that are not gonna have realtors anymore. And like, how would we know that? Anybody can answer this, right? All of the people, 1 million agents represented somebody, even if they were like deadbeat agents. 1 million people out there don't have realtors. How do we find them? How do we find that out? Ask? Yeah, pick the obvious answer, right? How many people are comfortable getting on the phone anytime they need to and asking for business? To be honest, it's okay, whatever the answer is. Jimbo, I see the dog. ROT. What's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew said he don't play either. I think that's what we're gonna have to do. Like, we're gonna have to reach out to these people, and we're gonna have to find ways to find them, because like Kevin and I were talking earlier, realtors don't announce their failures. Like, there are gonna be no announcements. I failed, I don't know what it was, but I just didn't do good in real estate, so I would like to announce my retirement. It's not gonna happen. We're not fans of our failures, but God, if we won't beat our chest when we do something good, or even something that we think is good, right? So if we know that they're not going to announce their failures, and we know that there's 1 million buyers and sellers out there waiting for representation in our country, I think you can gain market share without even knowing that's what you're doing, by again, creating a system and having blind faith with it. We'll do that by staying relevant, building relationships, and like I said before, I'm gonna try to show you a fun way to do it. Sound good? All right, first things first. I'll read some of this stuff, I'll try to build off of it, and anytime anybody has any comments, questions, or anything, it's an open forum. Interrupt me, stop it, it's fine. But the biggest thing is that you've gotta set the table for what it is that we're trying to do here. And what we're trying to do first is shift your mindset. However you run your business, if you're happy with it, keep going down that road. But if you want to make any changes, add any volume, increase your production at all, I advise you to do something different than what you're doing right now. And the first is straight out of Ted Lasso. Be curious. Dean's class last week had a really big impact on me because it made me realize that I had gotten away from a lot of things I did once upon a time that involved listening. As you become, I guess, a more experienced realtor, you know more, you see more of the scenarios, and you really do know how they're gonna plan out. But nobody wants to hear that, right? Asking them questions, making them at least feel like we're on their side of the fence, right? That's what helps us. So the more you know about your clients, their likes, their preferences, their lifestyles, the easier it's gonna be for you to put them into the right client appreciation buckets. There are just certain things that you won't do for groups of people in your database that you should do for other people. And you can't just mix everybody into a bowl for every event, especially if you want them to feel like VIP clients. So you're gonna pick the best fit. I love this. I like trying to create events around who I wanna get to know better. By show of hands, who's met somebody randomly, added them to their database, and like, I can't wait to work with this person. I think they're so cool. Like, their story is so cool. Anything like that. Okay. I was starting to think that you guys didn't have anybody like that in your database, and that's sad. Who you trying to do more business with, right? These people seem like they were hot and heavy for a while. I got like 3 referrals from them in a year, and then it dried up, and I don't really know what happened. In a breaking bread situation, you're way more likely to get that information or uncover it than like dialing for dollars and trying to kind of conduct a phone interview. Who can you see being a great affiliate or asset to your business? With this, I recommend in your databases, you know what every top client does for a living and who they work for. It's the best way to figure out how they could be an asset to your business or vice versa. And then based on what you know about them, who would want to come to the type of event that you're planning, right? Happy hour, for example. Once upon a time in life, like happy hours were my jam. But I got a 10-year-old, I got a 7-year-old, I coach these sports. I'm just all over the place every day. So like happy hour or alcohol, unless I slide over next door or something like that, it doesn't hold a prevalent place in my life right now. It doesn't fit the schedule. So if that's the case, I'm assuming that a lot of parents of kids my age that are involved in similar ways that I am probably are experiencing the same thing. So I'm gonna try to create an event that's relevant for those types of people. And then I'm gonna do a happy hour for the people that I know are drinkers. Parents can be drinkers too, man, because kids they'll drive you to it. Same thing, I love sports. Like, When the Olympics were on, it borderline ruined my life because prime time was late at night, and I'm like drooling on myself trying to watch the men's breakdancing competition. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to plan an event, sports related, a watch party for people that have told me explicitly that they hate sports. Like, well, come on out to the March Madness party, man. You guys are having a blast. Like, nah. Unrealistic expectations on our end, we really can't blame anybody but us for that. So remember the relevance of the event, and knowing your database is where it all starts. Make sense so far? All right, first event, movie night. Easy money, no problem at all. Level 1 is always going to be on a smaller scale. I haven't been doing it that long. I don't have the funds, or I don't feel like I have the funds to do something heavily right now. Level 2 is going to be more gangster status. I'll have you bring in sponsors for that. We'll talk a little bit about that. But everything, for the most part, is going to have a level 1 and a level 2 type of setup. So first things first, right? If we're doing it for adults, let's say 4 families, 12 people total, however you want to shake that out. For a movie night, you don't want to have too many people unless you're doing it at a venue. You don't have seating, people aren't going to be comfortable, you kind of create problems for yourself, so the number matters. If you make it family oriented, my recommendation is that you have 2 separate movie centers. First is for the kids, second is for the adults. If you have tickets for the kids' movie areas, you have different snacks and stuff to engage the kids, you're also giving the parents a break. I do sound like a parent of a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old right now, so I get that. The adult movie area though, send them options ahead of time. Movie options, snack options, all you're doing is engaging them more and creating more conversation opportunities. Why not? Why not? Why not know that when your guest showed up, you had a first-class spread that they picked out waiting for? Versus like, well, we got like 6 pizzas. I mean, half my people are lactose intolerant. These people, I mean, they told me they have terrible heartburn. So yeah, we got some red wine too. We're just gonna like kind of kick it up a notch. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, and we need to be working. We need to be putting hours into real estate right now. And I don't think that this is the worst way to do it. Drinks, right? Like, who drinks, who doesn't? If they have preferred drinks, like if we have a team event, I try to find out what everybody drinks because I can't assume that they all drink what I drink, right? But poll them. Use the promotion of the event to your advantage to create substantial conversations that show them how much you care. And then act for a movie. I didn't know about this one. I assume everybody has like a smart TV or at least like one app, like Hulu or YouTube TV or something. But if you don't have an app for a movie, like holler at me, I'll give you my login information. I highly encourage you to spend like $4.99 a month though, because it's not like the end of the world. But I got your back if you're struggling there. Level 2 takes it up a notch, right? In our business, the best of us, I think, give and give and give, and are so terrified to ask to receive. And I don't have a problem with that. I think that everybody that you give business to on a consistent basis, first you should know that. So if you're not tracking it, create a system to track it. But whoever you're sending the dominant portion of your business, your contractors, your home inspectors, HVAC repairman, whoever you send those referrals to, the goal with affiliates, in my opinion, is one of 2 things. The first is referrals, but you can't always count on those because they need to serve a lot of us. The second is support. We're going 1 or 2. There is no 3. So I'm gonna reach out to you throughout the years. I'm gonna give you some extra business exposure with some of my people, and I'm gonna ask you for some contributions financially for those events. I haven't been told no yet. I've been told not right now. I've been told I can't contribute what you've asked me to contribute, but I can contribute this. I haven't been told no yet. So my advice there is to ask anytime it comes to sponsors. Second step, reserve Oak Lawn. Oak Lawn is a phenomenal venue. Easy money for indoor or outdoor movie venue. No problem at all there. Cheapest reservation fee that I've ever found out of a nice venue like that. And then there's a company, Brittany's mom runs this company. I've learned as much as I can about it in a short period of time, but they call it a party playhouse. And they essentially are an outfit that you can go to and they'll take care of the rest. So they got the popcorn machine, they've got the outdoor movie screen, they've got the whole setup for you, right? And you say, okay, well that sounds a bit expensive and extravagant. Doesn't matter. You're not paying for it. You're getting all of the publicity from it. You're sharing some of that publicity with your affiliates, but ideally you're not paying for any of it. And if you are, you're paying for a very small part of it. Outdoor movie screen, popcorn, hot dog machine, life-size kid games, life-size Connect 4, life-size Jenga, that kind of stuff to keep people occupied. Drinks, chips, and candy. All kind of a comprehensive package when you go with a company like that. So first, remember these companies exist, and then second, utilize them if you can, because they're gonna make your life easy. Does that make sense so far, y'all? All right. How much? I mean, they got here, right? $62. I think we probably spend more than that on mailers or like notes, stamps for notes every month. But at the end of the day, what you need, it's not expensive. The expense is your time and effort, right? Because you're the ones going to pick up the drink, the candy, and everything. But these are not $19.95 prices. These are current prices for things. You can plan a movie night at your house for up to 12 people or 4 families, and you can do it for $62. You can plan a swanky event with 100 people, and it's going to run, depending on the games that you end up picking, it's going to run probably between $800 and $900. Now, I feel like if you put like $800 cash on the ground right now, I'll wrestle you for it. You know what I mean? Like, no problem when you talk about it in lump sum. But an $800 investment in your business to have 5 real estate conversations that you can follow up on is going to pay off tenfold, potentially more than tenfold. But it's not going to do anything if you don't do anything. I'm not going to go through this stuff because I want to stay cognizant on time, and also you can get a copy of all this. But I just wanted you guys to see this stuff front and center. It may not be as scary as we're making it out to be. Happy hour. All right. We got a happy hour coming up at Final Gravity, so that kind of made it pretty easy to do it. But a happy hour at a brewery or something is super easy. The only thing we recommend, right, you're providing alcohol, you probably need to provide some food too. It doesn't have to be a catered event, and if you do it, you're gonna take half the stuff home with you. Or, you know, like Dane's gonna take half the stuff home with him when he was on our team. You wanna do drink tickets though, because you want to have some kind of organization, and you want to be able to settle up at the end. And so it's a pretty basic event. We figure, what do we say for this last? Like 25 to 40 people or something like that at a happy hour. They come and go, everybody's not there for the whole time and all that stuff. But if you kick it up a notch, you can do it in way more intentional fashion without having to spend much more money. Doing co-branded cups with a sponsor, giving those to the brewery for the pours that you're going to be rolling out that day. Great idea, low cost, high impact gift. And then food trucks are double what they were 3 years ago. When I was the social director for our neighborhood, I'd have a food truck every Friday if I could. It was usually like a $500 minimum. It wasn't the end of the world. Now most of them are $1,000, $1,500 minimum. So it's a little trickier to get a food truck these days. But if you know you're going to have a big event and you know you're going to have a good turnout and you have 2 or 3 sponsors, I highly recommend getting a food truck out there to kind of like bring it home, right? The food truck's got signage for your sponsors. It's got signage for you. They probably got your cups on the food truck too. And you've made it an experience that's all kind of surrounding you as a business owner. So happy hours for the not older people like me. Same thing, right? Final Gravity didn't charge us anything to reserve a spot. I don't think we had like the whole building, but I think we had like a designated space.
4 tables.
Drink tickets, $5 to $10 a drink, 2 to 3 drink tickets a person. Small investment, and then I guess we're doing a popcorn chicken tray from Publix for a whopping $25. So $150 to $275, depending on total number of people in attendance. If we have 25, we're saying topping it out at $275. I don't know if I'm proud of this or incredibly not proud of this, but I feel like I've had bar tabs, like for me and a couple of my buddies that have been higher than $275. I feel like I've been out with Benjamin and Kevin and had higher bar tabs than $275. But you don't use all these drink tickets on yourself. You're supposed to give them out. The second happy hour though is something we've done too. We've done this at Hardywood. We've rented the upstairs. We've also rented out like the side patio. So there is a charge for that. Remember, sponsors, right? Level 2 is always going to include sponsors. So you secure your sponsors, you secure the side patio, same thing, drink tickets, co-branded cups, food truck if you can pull that off. A little bit pricier, right? So for these, I'm going to my home inspector, I'm going to my contractor, I'm going to somebody that I've probably sent like 10 or more referrals to throughout the year and kind of being like, hey, this is a big night for us. I just want to tell you what we're doing, see if you're interested, see what you'd be willing to contribute, and then maybe going with some of the smaller sponsors to see if you could get $100 chip in here, $200 chip in there. But you'd be surprised, and I wish he was here today, you'd be surprised how fast you can make this money, or create this money, I guess. I sat down with Big Z one day, I had lunch with him. He was kind of in one of those Big Z moods, and it was because he was about to cancel his Cinco de Mayo party at Oaklawn. I think he had like Rico's come, every year it's a big hit, it was like his biggest event, and he was like, I don't have the funds to do it right now, I just have a lot of other priorities, and so I'm gonna back it. I'm like, well, have you thought about like calling anyone? Have you asked anyone for help? And of course he had, right? 2 days later, I think he raised like $1,800 or something like that by just getting on the phone. He had his Cinco de Mayo event in a little bit different fashion than originally anticipated. But we're talking about a guy that was going to cancel his event completely because he was so terrified of asking anybody for money. And yet when he crossed the bridge, he had no problem doing what he wanted to do. I don't think any of us are any different than that. Sometimes I'm scared to do it too, right? You're like, do I have the right to do it? Yes, you do. So I'm telling you today, like, kind of let that go and try to put yourself in a proactive mentality to plan a nice level 2 event. Or if you want to, you go level 1. Watch party. All right, so this is playing off of the Olympics. We do a March Madness watch party at Oaklawn every year, and it's probably like, it's one of our biggest events, but it's also one of the most fun because it's kind of like, everybody just chills. Like everybody, there's no dog and pony show. People do get a couple of drinks in them and kind of like mellow out a little bit, but ultimately we're just watching a bunch of basketball throughout the day on 4 or 5 TVs. It's not really like a huge deal. But once upon a time I did watch parties at my house, like Super Bowl, any conference championship, any sport championship. There's always something that you could do to host a watch party. Also doesn't have to necessarily be a sporting event. I'm just too stupid to really know much about other things that you can do there. You're in charge of drinks, you're in charge of tailgating food, and then the idea is that you want multiple TVs, you want multiple entertaining areas because you want interaction, right? And if you have everybody just kind of standing around staring at one TV, it might be tough to get that interaction. If you go level 2, kind of like we did, Reserve Oaklawn, multiple games, 3 to 4 TVs. It is not as hard to find 3 to 4 TVs as you think it might be. Coordinate with Total Wine, that's what we do. We get kegs, purchase the other drinks, right? Like kids are gonna need drinks. You do need people to have non-alcoholic drinks. And then we hired a food truck for as much of the event as we could get them. Same thing, Party Playhouse can provide games for kids and all that kind of stuff. And how many sponsors did we get last year?
We had 2. We had a lender and then title and settlement company. And 2, as far as field games goes, they do have the cornhole boards at Oaklawn that you can use for free. And they have some like baseballs, kickballs, stuff like that. So you don't even necessarily have to rent if you don't want to.
I live in a thing for them. I try to consistently live under a rock. I don't care a whole lot about what everybody else is doing, but if I had to guess, I do not know another firm in Central Virginia that owns a venue that you could throw a party at whenever you want to if it's not already rented out. It is such a blessing to our company, but it's only a blessing if it gets utilized. So anytime anything's happening, just remember that Oaklawn is available and Cindy will keep you in check. How did the dollar shake out? How about a $121 watch party? Show of hands, who thinks they could afford a $121 watch party? Better put your hands up. Oh gosh. 10 to 12 people, right? Really, really good event. Something, and this is probably like more A+, people I'm trying to reach, but at the same time, people I know that are gonna respond to the type of event that we're having. This for us is more, only a couple of times a year do we try to do things for the entire database. This ends up being one of those events, and so we do end up spending a little bit more money on that. I can tell you though, my out-of-pocket expense is half of what the total expense is, again, because of those sponsors. And I can tell you, God, I hate to speak for her, but I'd be willing to wager $100 that if you called Abby and you do business with Abby and you asked her if Town First would be willing to support the next event that you had in any way, Abby would say, tell me more about that. She wouldn't be like, nah, man, why are you calling me asking me for money? What's your problem? Tell me more. And probably not long after that, if you didn't mess it up too bad, she'd be like, okay, I'm calling you. All right. This is more relevant to the season that we're going in right now. The fourth quarter of every year, now for 7 consecutive years, for us has been just as productive as the second and third quarters. It's not a quarter to lay down and die. It's not a quarter where nobody's doing business because of X, Y, Z, ABC, whatever else. The stats don't lie. It's been the same as second and third quarter for a number of years now. So I think doing something seasonally is important, but I don't think you have to break the bank to do it. At your house, public park, or a public venue, keep in mind, these are public establishments. They have no rental fees or anything like that. You just can't wild out while you're out there. Create your own pumpkin patch, right? I got 20 families coming, so I got a pumpkin patch with 25 pumpkins in it. Once upon a time, I used to go to Walmart. I had Dodge Ram. I'd fill the back of it up, create my own pumpkin patch in Southside for my south of the river people, create my pumpkin patch up here. But it was just a thug pumpkin patch, like literally like in my yard. Never had a problem with it at all. People were so grateful just to have somewhere to go, hang for a little while, and the fact that their kids went home with a pumpkin was the icing on the cake, right? So you get, over the years, we've become a little bit more polished. So now, like even at level 1, you can buy like a hay bale, little accessory kit like a scarecrow or some crap like that, and create a photo area. And I bet you money, if you knew your database and you interacted with them regularly, that there's somebody in your database that is a freelance photographer, somebody that's going to leave their job to get into photography. They're not, but they're good at photography. They'd be happy to make an extra $100 on a Saturday or something like that, and they're waiting for your phone call, right? Now you've presented an area for a family to create something that originated with you, that they can hang on their fridge, they can hang in their house, they can do something like that. And they just might take a good picture, you know, everybody, eyes open and all that stuff. And then we used to do this in Cedar Lee. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was the stupidest thing ever the first time I saw it, and then I saw how the kids felt about it, and I'm like, it's actually stupid for you to feel that way about it. We used to do, Cedar Lee has kind of like a main pavilion basketball area and a big field. And around that whole thing is a sidewalk, and we used to do a costume parade. So come to the fall festival, all the kids dressed up in their costumes. The costume parade is taking a lap around the field, and the parents are like clapping and stuff like that. All I saw was kids taking a lap. You know what I mean? There's no prize or anything at the end. They loved it. Like they were so amped to put on their costumes early, show them off, and kind of be celebrated for a little bit. That kind of stuff is mind occupancy. Like when those people leave an experience like that and they saw what you did for them and their kids, you're going to occupy mind space. And that's our job. Our job is to occupy mind space. If you kick it up a notch, we have graduated a little bit. Like I said, we got lavender, so we're a little bit more polished now. We do it at the Hanover Vegetable Farm. We've gotten to the point now where they give us a special line. They fast track our people in. We settle up at the end. Everybody's got wristbands. We get like a silo area for like older or less healthy people to sit when they need to, you know, cool off or something like that. But out there, they have all the entertainment provided for you. Same thing there though. We hire a photographer from within our database every year, and the pictures have been a big hit. The setup gets a little bit more swanky every year. And last ballpark, yeah, I was thinking 1,500. Yeah, we dropped 1,450 give or take, and that's with 100 families coming out there, 100 guests. If you do it at your house, you're chopping that number down significantly. You might be able to get it done less than $325. You know, it depends on, you know, what your freelance photographer charges and all that stuff. But bottom line, right? For a few $100, I can do something at my house for my A+ clients, for those people that have life situations where they might be moving next year, right? So I'm almost targeting an audience to get them out there. But if maybe you haven't done something for your database, your entire database yet this year, there's no reason that you can't do something that's a formal version of this, or maybe even a little bit more informal, but still at Hanover Vegetable Farm or Ashland Berry Farm or somewhere like that. Show of hands, who is planning on doing a client appreciation event between now and the end of the year? You got double those numbers up, right?
Larry, can I just add there?
Yeah.
For those of you that are just starting out and you don't even want to spend $325, Hometown does a fall festival every year. It's at Oakland, I forget the exact date, but it'll be publicized. All it costs you there is sometimes I ask for a little manual labor to come help me with it, but all you gotta do is invite your database and get them there. Hometown pays for everything. So I will be looking for volunteers. And, so we had been doing it just from the Mechanicsville office. Then last year we kind of grew it a little bit. That's where we did our 35th birthday party for those of you that came to that. And now we're just gonna do it every year as an all hometown event. Any agent can invite their clients, so be watching for that. That's another option for you.
You could have your own space at Hometown. You know what I mean? Like you could bring a small gift for your clients at the Hometown party. I mean, Easter egg hunt too, right? What else?
Easter egg hunt too, and we're gonna do visit with Santa.
Yeah.
We've done those 3 as company events. Yeah, I'm always looking for people to man stations, but if you really wanted to dive in and make it your part, say that you're the sponsor for the hometown face painting table, or if you're doing a game, or you're, you know, whatever. There's plenty of opportunities, and you can stand out as much as you'd like.
Cindy just used a really good word too, opportunities. If you took a 9-to-5 job, do you know the opportunities that you wouldn't have? Like the things that would be dictated to you, the things that you'd complain about the boss or the man every day. You couldn't do anything about it other than quit, right? We have like such a blessing in real estate. It's such an opportunity to kind of be like, okay, well, I don't want to do it that way, but I know I got to do something, so let me explore the way that might work for me. To a point where you can party your way to success. You know, like I just don't know another way that you do it. Flying Squirrels game, we didn't do one this year, but it's a pretty popular event. I think it's also like a really good bang for your buck event. So the level 1 and level 2, we've done both of these. But level 1, I think, shop heavy. So research the Flying Squirrel schedule, find a night that they're already doing something cool, right? They always have some gimmicks going, but all of their gimmicks are not created equal. You know, like, I don't have any examples of bad ones, but I do know that when you research it, you're like, okay, well, we're not gonna go that night. It should narrow itself down where you can find 4 or 5 pretty cool nights, then try to find a night that's a day of the week that you think that most people could show up, like that kind of stuff. General admission tickets, but pick a section. So in your promo, it's all general admission tickets to keep the cost down as much as possible. But during the promo, you have a private section. Your private section is just gonna have like 8.5 by 11 names on it. But there's no rules out there that say you can't reserve a section, you can't be out there with like RLT sign, throwing up W's, you know what I mean? Like, you can have them come to you, you can still have a private section without necessarily having to spend top dollar to get it. And then what we like to do is, once upon a time, we had like this swanky food spread, and people murdered it in like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it took the Flying Squirrels like 9 hours to get it restocked. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed. Like, I was not happy, because it makes us look bad,
Yeah.
right? But it's not something we had control over. You gotta learn though. So we went to Squirrel Cash, and that actually was a huge hit. I think we give too much Squirrel Cash out, but that's a whole nother story. At the end of the day, they have everything you need right then and there. You can pop by with a general admission ticket, $10 in Squirrel Cash for a family. They got a night to go out, have some fun, and you sourced it all. What I don't advise you to do is what I call the coward's way. Don't do all of that and then let them come to the stadium and just go wherever they want. That's not what this is about. It's not about giving them a free night at the diamond. It's about giving them an overall experience that you actually have something to do with. If you want to go gangster status, level 2, they've got the Brandito Grandstand. That provides a feeling of a bit more exclusivity. There's, I don't know how many, we'll find out.
38.
How many?
38.
There's 38 private seats. They're all colored and branded. And then it's right next to a general admission section for your overflow. So you can still have the privacy. The Brandito Grandstand area, though, has private food area, all that good stuff. Bring in your sponsors, right, to offset some of the costs, but co-brand koozies with them for drinks. Who's, Croco, you co-branded koozies? What are we talking to co-brand koozies? $1.20 per koozie. So really 60 cents per koozie if I'm doing that with an affiliate who's kind of getting in there. That doesn't seem like a high price to pay for something that may get used in the future. Most every house I've been to has got a koozie bucket. The Brandito area, full disclaimer, keep an eye on your food. Make sure that you kind of turn it over properly. Don't let what happened to us happen to you. And that way you won't be upset like I was. All right, dollars. 25 guests, 5 families, $350. That's if you get them general admission ticket and $10 squirrel cash per family. If you go gangster status, again, remember, we're opening this up to our entire database, so we're expecting more people to attend, and we're bringing more sponsors in. You're looking, that's a very precise number, lads, I love it. It's $3,469
For those numbers, yep.
for these.
I mean, if you need like 4 things of chicken, then, you know, you're looking at more, but they're not big chicken eaters, you'll be fine.
Perfect event for your lender partner, your title settlement partner. Whether you realize it, y'all are a triangle of power. And if you're not doing stuff with them, like, we're lucky because we've got town and MG law, right? So you already have buttons to push. But if you have your own setup or something like that, there's no reason that you should spend your year supporting someone else blindly without fail and never ask anything in return. I hope that today when you leave, like, I can give y'all the confidence to do that. Because when you go back and you track your referrals, which again you should be doing, you realize, man, I have really put some food on the table for this guy and his family, or this lady and her family. I don't feel bad about asking for something in return. That's the last one. All right. Any questions? Is somebody knock on the door?
Invite him in, open the door.
Sorry, y'all. The last thing.
Reed. Come on, hey, Reed.
Hey!
But Reed is a future employee of Sanders Group.
Yes.
But he's in training right now. It's 50-50, depending on the day. Alright. If you ever have a concept for an event and you want to talk to somebody, call me. The thing I hate most about realtors right now is that, like, this waiting and excuse game. Like, we're like waiting for things to get better, and we're making excuses on why we can't do these things. I don't see it that way. Like, these are just things that we have done, that we've kind of come up with over time, but there's a million things you could do out there. It starts with your personality, and then it goes with knowing your database. So first, if you don't have a database, let's get one ASAP. Second, make sure you have a database of people that you know. And our philosophy is when we look at their names in our database, we don't want like cringy feelings or like to get nervous. Why would you have people like that in your database, right? Like, that's not what it's supposed to be if it's real relationships. But with a database that you know a lot about the people in it, you can do anything in the world, whether that's through a hometown event that Cindy's pumping out pretty consistently, planning something on your own that's a new concept, but you're not alone, right? Like, I'm telling you right now, you can call me, you can email me, you can let me know what your ideas are, but go, right? Like, go and do some stuff, because what you do in the next 3 months could save you for 6 months next year. What you don't do for the next 3 months can bury you for 6 months next year. It could bury your career, you know? And that's not like being dramatic or putting fear into anything, but what's good on one hand is definitely good on the other. If you put the effort in, the results are gonna be there. If you don't, you might end up being one of the 1 to 4, not quitting, but thinking about it, right? Those kind of thoughts aren't gonna take you anywhere. So my question to you today is, what's the next event that you're gonna plan? When are you gonna plan it? And what's it gonna be? If you don't have that answer by the end of the week, next week, people like me are looking to take your spot. Like, we all work for Hometown, right? But we also know that there's 1 million unrepresented people in our country right now that need realtors. I'm trying to find them, trying to find out who they are, but I'm trying to kind of have a little fun while I do it, you know? And it should be fun while we work. What questions do you have?
Kind of a question, it's more of a side note, means the turnout doesn't always matter as much as promotion does. So a lot of this, I think Mike said it at one of the sales meetings a couple months ago, is he's made a lot of money inviting people to events and they're gonna show up at. So it's a lot of just make sure you make the phone call, you invite them, if they can't make it, no big deal. But you call them, you write them a note, sorry, couldn't make it, have to catch you at the next one, whatever it may be, but you get multiple touches on, they get a phone call, a note, an email, a video text or video email, something like that. Those are all reasons why we're promoting these events. So just cause, if you do an event and you're gonna have 50 people show up and you have 18, like, as long as you've made the promotion, it's still a great event at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
don't let that scare you or deter you from stopping doing some of this sort of stuff. So it's not really about the turnout, it's about the promotion.
It's a critically important part of this. The event, it's really just fun. You know, people don't show up, don't not have fun. I've been there. You spend a bunch of money and you don't have fun. That's not really very smart, take it from me. And then the follow-up too, like kind of building off what Kevin says, the promo and the follow-up is where it's all at. They didn't show up, give them a call, invite them to the next thing that you're doing. Let them know what it is, give them a date. They showed up, tell them something specific that you enjoyed talking to them about, ask them for a referral, move on with your life. But let's, communication, relationships, we need to kind of make it a full-time lifestyle. And if you don't feel like you're doing that right now, you want to talk to somebody about it, grab somebody that's been there for a while and we'll help. But don't go out alone. Benjamin.
Just this is awesome, by the way. So resourceful for all of us. Thank you for putting it together. You and us. Thank you for putting it together. All the NAR stuff that's going on, none of that matters if you don't do this. Because you're not going to have to worry about it.
Yeah,
If you don't do things like this, it's not going to matter.
I don't give a crap about the NAR stuff. That's probably not the most popular thing to say up here in front of Rodney and Senator, but like that, don't care. Don't have time for that kind of stuff. I just have time for this kind of stuff. And somehow, like a poor kid from Petersburg came up here and did this stuff, created a business, thriving lifestyle, and Lord knows if I can do it, y'all can do it. But we gotta go do it. You know what I mean? So let's do it.
Thank you,
Appreciate y'all coming out.
Great job.